who would you or who are you hoping, would be like the best candidate to do this speech, on behalf of all women in this country, you know?
These are conversations with my sisters.
On behalf of all women in this country, And I'll make a note. The reason I'm saying this is because we are, as much as we are a very democratic country, we also a very political, country, right? And obviously, our president being a president of a certain, political party in our country, the woman who will say that speech is more likely to come from the ANC Women's League, for example, right? But because of the distortion and obviously the divide that is amongst us, if there's a woman from the ANC Women's League making a speech about Women's Day and addressing the entire women in South Africa, right? I can imagine the outcry from that to say, why is it an ANC woman? Why is it not this woman? Why is it not that woman? Who would you rather does the speech? Who would be like the best candidate? Because I hear it. I definitely agree with you. I would also rather have a woman do the speech, but also I'm trying to think, who would you pick in a very political society as ours? And be truthful and
I'm gonna be absolutely like away from political agendas and all of that. We have a first lady.
Ooh, okay.
Where is our first lady? Where?
Do you know?
Do you know her? Do you know our first lady? Have you seen her?
I've never seen her. Hey?
Has she spoken? I mean,
I've never heard her.
Oh, guys, come on. She should be at the forefront of all of these.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that she should be pushing any political or any other agendas, but I mean, there's a reason why we have a first lady. And her voice is so muted, guys. It breaks my heart. Like, I could pass her on the streets and I wouldn't know that, hey, that's actually our first lady, unless she had bodyguards or whatever. But I wouldn't know that that's actually our first lady. And if she were to be, she doesn't have to be part of the Women's League. She doesn't have to be part of any political parties at all. Just to stand in front of us and say, hey guys, I'm the first lady of South Africa. This is the organizations that I am part of. This is what I would like to push. That would be.
And can I just tell you, Nim? I recently had a conversation with someone, right? And we were talking about Michelle Obama during Obama's turn in America, right? And I was saying, like, we were seeing her, like we were hearing her, obviously she's not like a South African and all that, but I was making a comparison to say, like, it's like in the United States, first ladies are allowed to have a voice, and in South Africa, we've never really had like a first lady say anything. Maybe she does like say in like something, maybe she is a part of certain like foundations, but I've never, like, in my 30 years, I've never really like heard like a first lady maybe making a speech of some sort, or being a leader like for women in this country, and then it makes you wonder, and it makes you think what a patriarchal society we live in, you know. I mean, if we could have a first lady and even term her, give her that honor and call her a first lady, what is she there for? Like, is she like? It's like she's like a lady in waiting, waiting for I don't know what. But
Yeah. I was about to say the same thing as you, Ayanda. And to answer your question, I was about to say, can't we wake up Abo Mom Helen Joseph? Abo Mom Elbertina Sisu?
So
Like, that's how much I couldn't think of anyone currently. But when Snotila said it, it switched on that light bulb of, actually, where is she? What is she doing? And I also thought about, but why can't she be like Michelle Obama? Because there was never a Barack Obama without Michelle. Like, she was everywhere. Do you understand? Even when she was not there, but she was everywhere. She was always seen. She was always heard. People loved her. People could relate to her. People could call her their mother. Where is our mother? Because I feel like Slotila is saying she was supposed to do that speech on Women's Day, guys. She was supposed to stand there and address us and talk to women all over, not and that the president, but
and also, like, not to say, like, we're not trying to compare Michelle
her to
because
no.
I mean, it is a first world country, and obviously it's the United States of America. But I mean, where is she, guys? Oh, be like, where is she? Like, that's literally the only question that I have. I'm not saying that she should be at the forefront of every single thing, but what is she at the forefront of?
But even our women in politics, guys, they say there are women who have chairs in what is this? In the parliament, right? But do we ever hear their voices? Let's be realistic. Do we ever hear the voices, or we just see them sitting there? Like, mostly we hear men speaking. We hear men addressing us. But they are there. Like Snotile said, a few years ago, they said around 40% of women joined the political, what do you call it? A proper word for it?
Is there a word for it?
Like, yeah. They were there. But they are not heard. They are just seen. And even on the seen part, it's rare. It is really rare to see them. We mostly see the men and hear the men. That's the reality that we're living in right now.
I think I'll say it again to say like this literally just says a lot about the type of patriarchal society we are in South Africa. And as much as we'd like to shun away from that and say, oh no, we've progressed, patriarchy isn't as bad as it was. A typical example of women in parliament, right? I'm a huge fan of Lindiwe Mazibuko, right? And during her turn, and she was still in parliament, I remember her making a speech, right? And instead of men focusing on what she was saying, they were ridiculing her looks, her body, and for me that was like, what? Like a lot of what she was saying was making sense, but why was it so difficult for men to take that, take whatever it is that she was saying as a fellow leader, I'd assume, in parliament we all equal, you know. They found it easy to ridicule her looks, her body. Why is she wearing that? Why is she doing this? And it goes back to society as well, where as women we are made to think, and you will correct me if I'm wrong. I think sometimes we are made to think that we have women in leadership positions, but mostly I think of it as just feeling a quota. It's like looking for a job and you're told we're only looking for females, right? Because the company is just trying to fill some type of quota, but really there isn't. The responsibilities that women are being given, and even in corporate, are very dull as compared to what men. Women in corporate will be mindful of things like what are you wearing. You shouldn't have hair like that in a corporate space, and not so much of laws, policies, and being progressive. So I think going also back to the role that I'd want our first lady to sort of assume that she isn't assuming, if there's anything to assume, really. You know, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a
But don't you think we're also too comfortable, guys? Like as women, we are too comfortable. Because I think of women of 1956, those who marched to those union buildings. They were like, each race came with 14,000 petitions, guys, that they took to the union buildings to go and present. Do you think women of today, I'm not saying go around collecting petitions, but do you think women of today are capable of doing, or are they willing to do what those women did back then? Or have we become so comfortable in the society that we live in that we just go with the flow?
This goes
We
back
just
to
go with
the
the
question of, do the same women of the same caliber exist in 2020? And man,
me.
yo,
You know, I will say this, right? I think more than anything, what the women in 1956 did, I think that highlights the possibility, that we are capable. We just choose which courses to fight in and which courses to fight in, right? Say, for example, if today I want to start a movement and I want to organize a march, for example, right, against maybe, let's say, patriarchy for whatever reason, right? I'm not a fave. I'm not known. So I'm not gonna have women, support me because one, I'm not a fave. I'm not famous. I have about 400 something, Twitter followers. I have less than 200 Instagram followers, so my influence really isn't that influential. I might be influential in my circle of friends, which is about what, 10 people, but I might not be, very much influential in a circle of 100,000 women in this country. I think more than anything, one thing that I've realized about us, especially, is that about us women, is that we choose which courses to fight in, right? And if it's a fave that is leading that course, I don't have to understand it. I'll be there, right? The Ayanda from two streets, down from my home, I don't have to. And if you ask, like, why are you not supporting? This one, hey, this one, she just likes these things. She thinks she's like better than everyone, and it's a question of how am I supposed to like act, or how am I supposed to do it? Truth is, we do not support each other.
No, we don't.
So only support you if my support to you will be beneficial to me of some sort,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm supporting, for example, let's take um okay, so if I'm supporting a who is like a well-known like person, if they were to start something today, tomorrow the movement will be in the streets.
the
I'm
makeup.
trying to think. I can't think of any. But if I was to support that woman, right? Um, I stand to benefit from association, right? From just being associated with her, I stand to benefit some type of fame or whatever. But if it's a snotile that wants to start something, and I'm looking at, well, what is she gonna do for me? What does she have that if I join her, then I'll have it also, and those things, I must say, they're very problematic. Zero support. We are all for faves and not, for good causes. Yeah.
I completely agree with what you're saying. And I've actually, I mean, in starting this initiative, I was going through Instagram pages that are doing similar work, or organizations or whatnot. And I was just looking at their following, and I'm just like, this organization is doing such amazing work, but like, it has less than 1,000 followers. And I'm just like, but where? And then you look at pages that are for entertainment. And again, it's not to say that they should start their own initiatives or they are invalid or anything like that. It's just to say that we really are very selective about what we support. And most of the time, you'll see even when there is topics like this, there'll be less of an audience for that. But if we're talking about Zodwa and her boyfriend,
situation.
I don't know, whatever the situation is there. If we're talking about issues where people are being hurt or it's entertainment for us, then we are there in numbers. We are there. We have something to say. We are sharing. We are laughing. But when we talk about issues where there needs to be accountability, there needs to be change, people are being called out, there's less of an audience, and there's less there's less people who want to share their experiences. And yeah, it's just, again, to speak about what Kosha was saying, it's hard, guys. It's hard breaking into such places. It's hard having a voice. It's taxing. It's draining, because nobody wants to listen to these issues. Nobody wants to speak about these issues. Nobody wants to, okay, there are less people that want to speak about such. And if you are at the forefront of such things, it's just like, well, yeah, we hear you, but did you see what Zoto did, type of thing. And it's just like, it's so discouraging.
It is. I agree with you, Snotila, because right now I'm thinking of, you remember that black and white thing that was going around where we had to nominate each other as women?
Yeah.
I was so angry, and I don't know if I was being emotional or I was exaggerating, but I became angry because I felt like we were doing this for a good cause. Technology has allowed us to connect with each other and to reach a bigger audience than we could before. And you find women posting, you understand, we're celebrating this, we are empowering each other, we are lifting each other up, we are aiming to fix each other's crowns. Then you get a man who will post a black and white picture and be like, I don't know what's happening, but I also want to be part and parcel of this. Like, why don't you ask? Why must you take something so seriously and make it something to laugh about? Do you understand? Because that's like, I don't know if I was exaggerating, but I became angry personally because I'm like, you are losing it and you are destroying what we are trying to do. And it made me angry because this is somebody who's well known. This is somebody who has a lot of followers. This is somebody who can have influence if they want to. But they are taking this thing and turning it into some form of entertainment. Yeah, so it's like they're ridiculing whatever we are trying to do. So how do we go about raising these kind of awarenesses, empowering each other? If there's going to be that 1% who have the potential of being very influential and they just crush the whole thing. I became crushed after that because I was like, you are undermining us. It's disrespect, pure disrespect. We are trying to raise awareness against something and you turning it into something that will get you 1 million likes at the end of the day. So it's like we're losing the plot.
I think for me personally, I've stopped trying to make people understand what I'm for or causes that I'm fighting for, right? Because I've realized that, you know what, sometimes you'll spend a lot of time trying to make someone understand what you're for, what you're about, or what causes you're fighting for. And in the end, they'll just say, okay, and then leave you at that. You know, you could have used that time to either fight, you know, for whatever cause that you believe in, but now you like trying to explain to someone because you're trying to make them understand. I think our job really is not to make anyone understand. And I learned that the hard way, that regardless of whether it's dreams or causes that we're fighting for, it really isn't your job to make anyone understand. Your job is, if you want to educate, but don't expect them to understand. you know, or learn something from what you're saying. You know, people take whatever it is that they want to take, whether through conversations, whether through actions or behaviors, right? Let them be. Like, be okay with that. Like, you've done your part. Let that be your I'm able to sleep at night moment, you know, to say, you know what, it's okay. Like, we could be preaching about feminism and you'll get guys that say, oh, you want equality. And then they try ridiculous to say, okay, you want equality. I will show you what equality is. You know, you're not for that cause. Like, I think it's not anyone's responsibility really to make anyone understand. You know, we choose which courses we want to support. We choose which courses we don't want to support. And if anyone really ridicules an idea or anything, that's on them. You know, I think it shouldn't really be on you. I think I saw it with this conversation, right? So we put up our first video, and obviously we got like feedback from family, friends, and you know, people that we generally know, you know. And there were people that were very like, oh, why are you guys like this, why did you guys say it like that, what you know, and not being mindful that, well, at the end of the day, it was really our opinions, you're entitled to yours, which is why we've created the space, so that you also get to have your opinions or your voice heard, you know. And someone will be like, oh, okay, you know, and then you'll be thinking, oh, well, I thought you said that because you wanted to add something. You know, I think through that, then you become understanding to say, you know what, people will still make noise, people will say certain things, and really, it's whatever. For me personally, like, I've learned to be like, whatever, you know, I only respond to things that I find really valuable. If your opinion of me or your opinion of what I'm about, causes that I'm fighting for, really isn't, you know, great to me, I'm not even gonna be alarmed. I'll just be like, oh, okay, and leave it at that. You know, so I think really, like, in terms of causes that we're fighting for, people will say the worst things. People will ridicule you. People will say, oh, why did you say it like that? Oh, why were you like this? Why not like this? You know? And really, it's whatever, you know,
It's crazy.
it's whatever. Yeah. So okay, so you know, going back to our topic before we derail and we take a little bit more of time, right? I wanted us to talk about, and I think this is like one thing you can't talk about it. You can't like not mention it because it's very central to women in this country, right? And that is gender-based violence, you know, as opposed to violence against women, right? We are living in this country, there's gender-based violence, there's violence against women. It depends on how you choose to, like, you know, define it. Some people look at gender-based violence as violence against women. Some people look at it as gender-based violence in a whole, right? So one of the things in the country that really is a problem is violence against women, right? And I think this is one thing that we can never really not talk about when we're talking about women, you know, because we're continuously in spaces where, whether we're in our homes, we're outside, you know, someone is bound to do something to you, whether you know that person or you don't know that person, right? So I wanted us to touch a little bit on this topic, violence against women. What's your take on that? Do you think we are doing enough as women in this cause, or do you think, well, we've done enough, now it's up to men to choose whether they stop or they don't? What is your take on that?
For me, I mean, somebody equated gender violence to crime, to the high rates of crime in South Africa. And I was like, I hear you. I do, really do. But is it really the high rates of crime in South Africa? Is it really the fact that people are hungry and are trying to make ends meet? I mean, how can you equate a killing of a woman, a beating of a wife, a girlfriend, a murdering of a child, the raping of a woman to people being hungry? I mean, I just, I don't understand. And to answer your question, I don't think there is enough that women can do. I don't think there will ever be enough that women can do, just in terms of speaking about it, raising awareness, and all of those things. I think that the onus is on men to have these conversations. The onus is on men to call out nonsense, to call out club culture, to call out rape culture, to call out, there's little things that people say that indicates that, no, man, you said this one is a potential rapist. There's just certain things that people say, certain ideologies that people hold, and you just like, so so there won't be enough that women are doing or can do, and we shouldn't stop doing it because there won't be enough. But men also have to meet us halfway, even 90% of the way if possible, in order for us to actually cut this thing out, or to maybe not cut it out, but I mean to decrease the stats, because the stats are really high, guys. I mean, have you seen the stats? Like, I was looking at, there was a post somebody posted, and they said that there's approximately 1,320 women that have been raped since August started. It's only the 13th, 14th, 15th. It's only the 15th of August. There is 100 and something women that might be raped today alone. Those are crazy stats, and that cannot be equated to the crime rates in South Africa. It cannot. Those are ridiculous stats. And those are things that we need to constantly put out there. And yeah.
And also the fact that every 3 hours a woman is killed in this country.
Yeah, it's scary.
Mm.
I agree. I really agree. There's not enough. We can't reach a point where we say we've done enough. I feel like we still have a long way to go in this country when it comes to violence against women. Like Snotile is saying, maybe if our men meet us halfway and start educating each other and be there and speak about this, and not just be our bodyguards just standing there, but actually voice these things out. Yeah, I'm saying that because you're like, the multi-union building, they were bodyguards, but even today, they're still there. They are there when we do these marches, these protests. You do see men are part and parcel of it, but they're not saying anything. You understand? So maybe they need to come together and like they need to come together and talk to each other and not promote these things, guide each other in whatever conversations they have. Because now, if we as women go out there and we try to talk, guys, we haven't reached a point where a woman is heard 100%. We are still working on that, and we are far from achieving that. So we are not saying that we need them to lead us, but we need them to uplift each other, or ukuzana. Like, we need them to be there and be like, guys, what we're doing is nonsense. Do you understand? Because I feel like now everything, most of the time when things like these arise and women lash out or women express how they feel, men always are on some defensive mode for some odd reason. Like, yeah, we knew that you'll be saying men are trash. Not all men are trash. We are not saying all men are trash, but it is just a disclaimer to say, guys, you are hurting us. We need you to hear us. Instead of being out there and saying, nah, not all men are trash, how about you say, I will talk to my brother, I will talk to my uncle, I will talk to my friend. So if they could just break this defensive mode that they're on and actually bakuzaneni, then I feel this battle against the violence against women and children would actually decrease. It will be a start of it decreasing, because really, we can't do this on our own. That's the reality of the situation. We are trying, but we can't do it on our own.
Just to quickly add, I on the other side of this is the fact that nobody wants to fight for something that they are benefiting from. As much as we have men that are not rapists, they're not trash, they are the ideal man, you know, just perfect. But if I am benefiting from other men who are constant, if I'm benefiting from patriarchy, let me just say that, then I'm not really going to be at the forefront of wanting to change it. I'm not going to be at the forefront of wanting to dismantle it. And I always make the example of white people and white privilege. As much as Black people are always saying that, where are the white voices when we are voicing out issues such as Black Lives Matter? White people, yes, they will support it, but they won't really be as loud as we would want them to. But that doesn't mean that Black people are going to keep quiet now because we don't have enough white voices that are speaking upon the issue. And I say that because I'm relating it to women as well, and going back to your question, Ayanda, in saying that as much as we don't have as many male voices, we're not going to keep quiet about it. We're not going to say that, oh, well, you know, we need more men. Since we don't have men, we're just going to sit down. We're going to continue fighting this because it's worth fighting for. Our sisters are dying, and dying for no reason, not because you're trying to steal something from me. You're just a bad person, and that's it. So we are going to continue fighting. We're going to continue speaking about it. We do need more men, and we do encourage more men to come to the party. But yeah,
I think definitely I feel like there is so much that could be done, right, in relations to whether it's violence against women or it's gender-based violence, right? I think also the most important thing is the calling out. You know, we need to call each other out, regardless of whether someone is a brother, someone is a father, or someone is my boyfriend, or someone is, we need to continuously call out. I think calling each other out doesn't only stop with women and trying to end toxic femininity, but it's also us calling each other out as brothers and sisters, right? I think one thing about also violence against women, predominantly against women, is that I think there's been like a lot of things that we've done, whether it's research or studies or whatever, right, looking at violence against women, and we can say it, out loud, to say it's very high in this country, but I think also understanding why is it happening in such a large scale, and then this goes back to us again, as I said earlier, that we're a very patriarchal society, right? And there's certain things about patriarchy that we are afraid to call out, things like culture, right? Things like male domination, coming from this idea of culture and what it is being a man in a relationship, for example, right? Those things we don't pay attention to that. I think we don't pay attention to why is it happening, why are men perpetrating violence against women in most instances, right? Because I'm not saying it's only males that beat women. We have women that beat male, but it's only a small number, right? And I'm not saying we shouldn't fight against that. We are fighting against gender-based violence because gender is both males and females, right? But I think also we ought to look at why is it happening in such large magnitude? Why are we having male continuously raping, killing? Um, why is it happening? Because honestly, like, there's something somewhere. There must be something in either the water that we are using. There must be something somewhere. It's a question of why is it happening? And I mean, you in every society there's obviously problems with violence, but why do we as a country have that as a big problem? Is it because of our cultures, traditions? Are they not progressive enough? What is it that is being done? You mentioned something like men need to be allies in this, and they are. When men are going to initiation schools, for example, why can't we have, I need to they're being taught certain things. Apparently, they're being taught to be men. Why can't we have, violence against women as a topic? Because I think that's where the calling out comes from also. I mean, if when you go there you taught certain things, why can't you be taught it's wrong to beat a woman?